What's up with the squad? Back with another video. I seen the title's going down. Make sure you hit the like with the subscribe button for me, please. Y'all seen the title? Let's jump right into it, y'all.
He keeps trying to ditch you.
Yeah, they just left.
Right.
But you understand the reference, Greg.
Yes.
Is that she was somehow involved in the decision, and it was her wise guidance that he was relying upon. Listen, she was the last in the room in Afghanistan. She was the border czar, and she was the deciding vote on trillions of inflationary spending. On those three most popular Joe Biden items, she's basically like a conjoined twin. You cannot separate the two. And let's talk about foreign policy. What is her foreign policy? This is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse,
I don't like that.
Figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
have their way with
That
her.
was wild, Jesse. I wasn't expecting that. That threw me off
Control
guard.
her, not in a sexual way. You're now having F-16s getting sent over to Ukraine, and Ukraine's actually now invading Russia, and you're going to have her as commander-in-chief? That's nuts. Trump lays the wreath today, and besides the emotional impact that had and how sad the whole thing was, politically it was brilliant because Harris and Biden took the day off. It reminds everybody about what happened 3 years ago. And it was a very presidential look. Mm-hmm. And it shifted the momentum, that and the RFK event on Friday, completely away from Harris after her convention.
Oh, that's interesting.
Judge, it's a good point. Joe's on vacation again. Harris is distancing herself from the White House or campaigning.
Man,
so for
listen.
the 1000th
Oh, no.
time,
What's going on?
Who is running this country?
Yep.
Listen,
You know, I wish I had the answer.
I do apologize for that. I don't know what just happened. But listen, let me tell y'all something. I was literally on X today trying to see what I can, find and look up different, articles on what's going on with Kamala and this, that, and the other. You literally cannot find anything. You cannot find anything that she has done today, yesterday, nothing. Y'all haven't seen Kamala really since the DNC. There's nothing that she's possibly doing, and the way that she's going, which y'all see, she needs to be doing other things, to help that. And right now, she's not doing nothing. It's just going deeper into nothing, really. And this, I'm telling y'all, you literally don't see nothing. You look up Kamala Harris today, you're not gonna find nothing. It's nothing there.
White House or campaigning. So for the 1000th time, who is running this country?
Yep.
I wish I had the answer. I obviously don't. I think we all think of the same person who has installed many of his former aides in the Biden administration. But, this is what happened with Joe Biden. When he ran for office, he was that moderate, okay? And he was in that Trojan horse as a moderate. And he backs up into the White House, and all the progressives that you can't even recognize for who they are go running into the White House. But Jesse's right. This is the one area where you truly cannot separate Kamala Harris from Joe Biden, because it's not only I was the last person in the room, but the quote goes on, and you feel comfortable. I do. So, and when the Democrats call it a strategic and moral failure, what happened with the Biden administration, that same Democrat who used those words, Congressman Ryan, when it came to Kamala, he says, or Vice President Harris, he says, we can't assign partisan blame. Yes, you can. You fire them. You make sure there are consequences. People, look, we knew that they left Bagram and they go to the Kabul airport, which has one runway. They have credible information. They identified the person. They identified what he was wearing. They had a shot right in place. They couldn't get the approval to shoot. It was the rules of engagement that are so effed up with this Biden administration that it ended up killing 170 Afghans and 13 Americans whose names have not come out of Joe Biden's mouth as he sat there and watched the boxes come off. And
or Kamala's mouth. Don't let that slide either. Neither one of
And
them.
he looked at his watch.
Because how I look at it from the parents that said something about the whole situation, they said neither one of them said anything about their family.
But you know what? We know nothing about her history. All we know is that when she says every day I mourn and honor those 13, shame on you. That's the kind of exaggeration that we don't believe. The Gold Star family say Biden never publicly named them, and he was not someone that they are enthralled with, and neither is she.
So, Harold, Kamala says she's the last person in the room, but she denied who the dead person in the room was, Joe Biden. Shouldn't she be held accountable for that?
I'm just glad you didn't say we talked about this in the green room. This was a colossal and catastrophic failure. Watching the president walk with those families, President Trump today walk with the families at Arlington, reminded me of that. The disappointing thing for me in all this is twofold. First, I have yet to hear a real accounting of what happened. I understand, meaning the decision-making process, what went wrong. I don't need to have anything disclosed that would reveal any secrets. But what was learned from it, and how do we ensure we don't make the same mistake again? I'm a believer in lessons learned, because you don't want these things. We're going to be confronted with something like this again, and we need to know how and why, how we can avoid this from happening again. Two, I never assign intentionality to any president. President Trump, President Reagan, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, certainly not President Biden as well. I don't think any president intends to put warfighters in a position where they can be killed. They may make wrong decisions, but their intent is not to do that. Nor do I think he intended for that to happen. But having said that,
I deeply apologize, y'all, if y'all can hear that. It's my daughter. My little cousin just pulled up, so she's excited.
As well. I don't think any president intends to put warfighters in a position where they can be killed. They may make wrong decisions, but their intent is not to do that. Nor do I think he intended for that to happen. But having said that, if I were President Trump and the team, just for the politics of it, I would want to, Greg's, the way you position us, I would want to be in a room standing side by side with Vice President Harris and ask the question, what did you think when you heard that plan and you were the last person to leave the room, and did you agree with everything the president wanted to do? And let the voters be the arbiters about whether she's telling the truth or not.
Mm-hmm. Last word to you, Dana. Take it wherever you want.
Okay, I shall. Thank you very much.
And honestly, y'all, like, one thing about it, how I look at Harold, sometimes Harold can say things that honestly doesn't, in a way, make sense to me. But when it comes to Jessica, anything she says doesn't make sense. Harold, I could definitely make an exception. Sometimes, I could, okay, Harold, I see what you're saying. I can, and at times he definitely is completely wrong. But, I definitely could say I'd rather Harold, speak rather than Jessica.
Mark Halperin, the political analyst, he has this point that at this time in the campaign, you always look at who's winning that day's news cycle. And last Friday was the first day in many weeks that President Trump was able to win the news cycle, and that was when RFK Jr. endorsed him, and we'll talk about that more later. Today, Kamala Harris ceded the field to him. The only news she made today was about wanting to renegotiate the rules of the debate. Mm-hmm. He instead made a lot of news by being there with the families and then going and taking questions from the press when he went to his event, and he has that event in Detroit today as well. She was so eager to be a part and to be seen, like in Veep, right? Like, I'm with the president, I'm here, I'm with the president, I'm doing everything. But that the other night when Joe Biden, a week ago tonight, said, and Kamala Harris, my vice president, was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, and he's waiting for the cheers. Everyone claps except for her. Mm-hmm. And she just sat there like, oh, I know this is one of my biggest vulnerabilities. But it was like breaking up with somebody who was super sentimental, and they have all the pictures, and your name's carved in the tree, and the stars are named after you, and then you break up and you can't erase it. President Trump is making sure that she's not going to be able to separate herself. We're not going to be able to forget that she was part of Biden-Harris is in the title.
I don't think it was appropriate to bring that up on live TV.
Which one?
Never mind.
Breakup.
The breakup. I thought it was
Like it
well
never
done.
happened. I'm fine. We're good. Everything's great. Got a dog.
You already know, great video though. One thing that I could say, especially about the whole Afghanistan thing, it is definitely sad that And I made a whole video about this. And the crazy thing is, what surprised me is that I seen a lot of other people make the same video about how Trump was in, not in Afghanistan, but were there at the memorial, Arlington Memorial. And, you know, those videos didn't do, and I don't know what it is. I don't want to speak, too much, but those videos from big channels didn't go out and spread like they, needed to be. And I feel like that's bogus, because it's like, this stuff is important, but they don't want you obviously to see stuff like that. And that right there, I'm telling y'all, that whole video, it was a little bit, emotional for me, and seeing, the way that, things went and how they treated it, Biden and Harris. But one thing about it, definitely appreciate y'all. Much love to everybody. You already know. Catch y'all next one.